Hawaii Five-0, 1968–1980, was more than just an iconic police drama. It became a cultural phenomenon, captivating audiences around the world with its action-packed scenes and thrilling stories. Yet, behind the glitz and glamour of Hollywood, the personal lives of its cast members took unexpected turns. Tragic accidents and unforeseen challenges caused some stars to spiral downward, forever altering their paths. Fast forward to 2025, where are these familiar faces now, and how have their lives unfolded since their time on the show? Dive into the stories of the actors who brought this legendary series to life and explore their journeys filled with twists, turns, and resilience. Jack Lord, who played Detective Captain Steve McGarrett, was 48 years old when he first embodied the commanding and stoic leader of the 5-0 task force in 1968. His portrayal was iconic, firm, justice-driven, and emotionally distant, a mirror to much of Lord's real life. Despite becoming a household name, his post-show career languished. Typecast and creatively unsatisfied, Lord turned away from Hollywood entirely. He was married to fashion designer Marie Denard for over 50 years, yet their union, while enduring, was haunted by the loss of their only child, John Ryan, who died of hepatitis at just 12. They had no other children. Isolated in his later years, Lord was plagued by Alzheimer's disease, which consumed his final decade, rendering him a recluse in his Honolulu home. He died on January 21, 1998, at the age of 77 from congestive heart failure. Forgotten by many in Hollywood, he left behind an estate valued at approximately $40 million, a fortune he largely owed to early investments and careful financial planning. Though estranged from much of the industry, he was quietly charitable in Hawaii, contributing anonymously to medical institutions and children's programs, a legacy he never sought to publicize. James MacArthur, portraying Dano Williams, was 30 years old when he joined Hawaii Five-0, injecting youthful energy and loyalty into his role as McGarrett's right-hand man. Though adored by fans for his iconic line, "Book M. Dano," MacArthur struggled to break free from the shadow of his character. After the show ended, his career drifted toward low-profile stage roles and television cameos that rarely matched his earlier success. The adopted son of famed actress Helen Hayes, MacArthur often felt emotionally adrift, especially after the deaths of both his adoptive and biological parents, whom he reconnected with in adulthood. He married 3 times, most notably to actress Joyce Bulifant, with whom he had one son, Charles. Their relationship was turbulent, marked by MacArthur's jealousy and long absences. 2 more children from his later marriage to LPGA golfer Melinda Hill added to his personal burdens, as he often felt guilty over being an absentee father. Battling cancer in silence, he died on October 28, 2010, at age 72. His estate was estimated at $1.5 million, and though he faded from the spotlight, he was mourned by theater circles and loyal fans alike. Kem Fong, who brought Chin Ho Kelly to life, was 51 when the series premiered. His portrayal of the steadfast and intelligent detective was grounded in real-life pain. Before acting, Fong had been a police officer, and the tragedy of losing his wife and 2 children in a World War II air raid haunted him for life. He later remarried, finding some solace with his second wife, Rose, with whom he had 4 children, Marvin, Dennis, Elizabeth, and Edwin. Though he achieved recognition with Five-0, roles dried up post-series, and he spent the following decades doing voiceovers and local theater in Hawaii. His marriage, once a refuge, began to fray under the weight of his recurring depression and survivor's guilt. He was known to walk the streets of Honolulu alone at night, whispering prayers to the family he lost. He died of lung cancer on October 18, 2002, at the age of 84. His estate was estimated at $500,000, a modest sum reflecting a quiet life after fame. Despite his personal torment, Kem Fong remained a symbol of perseverance for many in Hawaii's community. Herman Wiedemeyer, playing Duke Lakila, was 44 when he first appeared as the reliable and gentle policeman who eventually rose through the ranks. A former football star turned actor, Wiedemeyer found redemption in 5-0 after years marred by scandal. Before television fame, he had faced charges of embezzlement during his time as a public official, a shame that cast a long shadow over his family. He married his childhood sweetheart, Lillian, and had 3 children, Thomas, Malia, and Jonah, but the guilt of his public disgrace drove a wedge between them. His relationship with his children was strained. They rarely spoke in his later years. Post 5-0, acting opportunities waned, and he turned back to politics, but his attempts at a comeback were met with skepticism and defeat. He battled diabetes and depression silently, often retreating into solitude. On January 25, 1999, he died at 74 due to complications from diabetes. His estate was valued at approximately $300,000. Though once a hero on both the field and screen, he died feeling forgotten, a man who once had everything but couldn't outrun the weight of past mistakes. Harry Endo, who portrayed Che Fong, the meticulous forensic scientist on Hawaii 5-0, was 46 years old when he brought the soft-spoken yet pivotal character to life. His calm demeanor and quiet intelligence gave the show its scientific edge. But beyond the screen, Endo lived a far quieter life, often overlooked by Hollywood's bright lights. After 5-0, his career waned, with few roles offered and most never rising above background parts. He married Myrtle Endo and had 2 sons, but the family's private life was often strained by the long stretches Harry spent in Hawaii, far from Hollywood's epicenter. Despite being viewed as a loyal husband, the emotional distance slowly fractured their relationship. His final years were plagued by regrets of an unfulfilled second act, the fading spotlight haunting him. He lost one of his sons to cancer, a grief he never overcame. Suffering 2 strokes and enduring chronic loneliness after Myrtle's death, Harry became reclusive. He died in 2009 at the age of 86 from complications of a stroke. His estate, modest and carefully managed, was estimated at $500,000, most of which went to his surviving son and a local Hawaiian cultural center he quietly supported for years. Zulu, born Gilbert Francis Lonnie Damien Kauhi, embodied Konokalakaua with fierce loyalty and island pride, joining Hawaii 5-0 at 38 years old. His character, a former sumo wrestler turned detective, stood as a symbol of local strength and warmth. But Zulu's real life unraveled after his departure from the show in 1972. Fired amid conflicts with producers, he never fully recovered professionally. His marriage to Mele Kauhi, a former hula dancer, crumbled as he turned to alcohol to ease his bitterness. They had 3 children, Kai, Nohea, and Leilani, who remained distant after the divorce. Financial troubles plagued him, leading to bankruptcy in the 1980s, and he was forced to work as a Waikiki tour guide and nightclub performer. He suffered a heart attack in 1995 and was later diagnosed with diabetes. Estranged from Hollywood and his family, he lived his last years in relative obscurity, renting a small apartment in Honolulu. On May 3, 2004, he died at age 66 from complications of diabetes and heart disease. His estate was valued at less than $50,000, mostly consisting of memorabilia and debts. His once boisterous laugh became a distant echo, remembered only by a fading generation. Al Harrington, who joined Hawaii 5-0 as Ben Kakua at 32, radiated charm and vigor, becoming a welcome addition after Zulu's exit. His role brought a sophisticated island voice to the team, but his career after the series struggled to reach similar heights. Typecast and frequently offered culturally reductive roles, Harrington grew frustrated. He married Rose Marie and fathered 4 children, Alma, Tau, Malia, and Pailai, but his devotion to performance often meant sacrificing time with family. The marriage survived, though not without long separations and emotional strain. A former educator, Al returned to teaching and performing Polynesian shows in Waikiki, where he found brief resurgence, but not the acclaim he once knew. He mourned deeply after losing his brother in a car accident, and later his daughter Malia to lupus. As age caught up with him, he suffered from dementia and heart complications. Al passed away on September 21, 2021, at 85, following a stroke. Despite his hardships, he left behind a modest estate of approximately $700,000, most of it set aside for his grandchildren's education, a legacy more personal than public, quietly noble and steeped in sorrow. Peggy Ryan, who portrayed Secretary Jenny Sherman with a bright smile and snappy wit, was 48 years old during her run on Hawaii Five-0. Known for her earlier fame as a tap-dancing sensation alongside Donald O'Connor in 1940s musicals, Peggy had long faded from the spotlight by the time she joined the show. Her marriage to fellow dancer James Cross ended in divorce after only 5 years. She later married actor Pat O'Hara, a tumultuous union marked by jealousy and alcoholism. They had one son, Sean, who Peggy raised alone after Pat abandoned them during a failed touring production. Post 5-0, Peggy struggled to land work, often turned away for being too old or too niche. She opened a dance school in Las Vegas but shut it down following financial ruin in the early 1990s. Suffering from chronic arthritis and depression, Peggy became increasingly isolated after the death of her best friend, actress Gloria DeHaven. Her later years were spent in a nursing facility in Las Vegas, her once lively spirit dulled by years of neglect from the industry she once brightened. Peggy died on October 30, 2004, at the age of 80, due to complications from 2 strokes. Her estate, largely diminished, was valued at $150,000, her greatest treasure being a scrapbook of faded reviews and photographs from a past life no one seemed to remember. Danny Kamakona, who played various roles in Hawaii Five-0, was 38 years old when he joined the show in 1968, often portraying morally ambiguous characters whose inner conflicts mirrored his own off-screen life. Though a skilled and dedicated actor, Danny struggled to find lasting fame beyond Five-0, often being typecast in minor roles that never captured his full range. His career stalled in the 1980s, and by the early 90s, he had almost entirely retreated from Hollywood. He married once, to Lianakiko Nakamura, a schoolteacher, but their union became strained by his growing depression and long absences. They had 2 children, Michael and Keiko, but his relationship with them was distant, clouded by resentment and regret. His final years were marked by alcoholism, financial instability, and several hospitalizations. One of the most tragic blows came with the death of his younger brother in a car accident in 1991. Which pushed him into near-total isolation. Danny Kamakona died of respiratory failure on May 2, 1996, at the age of 64. His estate, weighed down by debts and medical costs, was valued at roughly $70,000, a stark contrast to the promise his early career had once held. Douglas Mossman, who portrayed Frank Kamana, was 37 years old when he began appearing on Hawaii Five-0, often embodying the stoic and dependable lawman with quiet strength and dignity. A native Hawaiian, Mossman took great pride in representing his culture on screen, but behind the professionalism lay a deeply fractured personal life. His marriage to nurse Helen Alohaani broke down after 15 years, strained by Mossman's emotional distance and the overwhelming grief of losing their firstborn son, Kaimana, to leukemia at age 9. They had 2 more children, Leilani and Jonah, but the family never fully recovered from that loss. His post-5-0 career never matched his earlier success, leaving him to take odd jobs and voiceover work to stay afloat. He was briefly institutionalized in the late 1980s after a nervous breakdown, a period he later described as his vanishing decade. Though he remained respected in the Hawaiian arts community, Mossman lived out his final years in a modest apartment in Honolulu. He passed away on May 18, 2021, at age 88 from natural causes. His estate was estimated at $150,000, much of it tied up in a small pension and cultural preservation trust. Kwan Hai Lim, who played numerous characters on Hawaii Five-0, was 47 when the show debuted, often cast as sharp-suited villains or stern authority figures, reflecting the actor's own rigid demeanor. Born in Hawaii to Korean immigrants, Lim struggled with cultural isolation throughout his youth. He married his college sweetheart, Eleanor Park, a fellow Korean American, but their relationship deteriorated after Lim's obsessive focus on his career caused prolonged absences and emotional withdrawal. They had one daughter, Hannah, with whom he remained estranged following Eleanor's decision to move to the mainland after their divorce. Post 5-0, Lim faced a sharp decline in roles and retreated into private law practice, though he never found the same sense of purpose. He suffered from chronic health issues, including diabetes and kidney failure, and the suicide of a close friend in 1997 left him visibly shaken. An arson fire destroyed his Honolulu home in 2001, and Lim never fully recovered from the trauma. He died on December 22, 2008, at the age of 87 from complications of heart disease. His estate, quietly divided among distant relatives, was valued at approximately $90,000. Tommy Fujiwara, who took on various roles throughout Hawaii 5-0, was 40 when he began appearing on the show, often portraying everyday locals, bartenders, or minor villains, his face familiar, yet his name largely forgotten. Despite his long association with the series, fame always eluded him. After 5-0, acting opportunities dwindled, forcing Fujiwara to return to construction work in Honolulu. He was married briefly to a woman named Naomi Ikeda, but their union was short-lived, ending in a bitter divorce after only 2 years. They had no children. Deeply private and somewhat reclusive, Fujiwara lived alone for most of his life, surrounded by old scripts and fading memorabilia from the show that had defined his youth. He was devastated by the death of his mother in 1983, followed by the suicide of a childhood friend, which plunged him into depression. In his final years, he suffered from lung disease brought on by decades of smoking and spent his last days in a care facility. He died on September 13, 2005, at age 77. Fujiwara left behind a modest estate worth around $50,000, largely comprised of pension savings and a few possessions auctioned off posthumously. Seth Sakai, who appeared in various roles throughout Hawaii 5-0, was 48 years old when he first graced the screen in 1968. Known for portraying local officials, criminals, and islanders with quiet intensity, Sakai brought a subdued gravity to every scene he entered. His career never fully flourished beyond the island-based roles he was often typecast in, leaving him frustrated and financially strained during his later years. Sakai married Japanese-American painter Naomi Ito in 1952. They had 2 children, Yuki and Kenji, but the marriage became distant due to his long hours and emotional detachment. The couple separated in the late 1970s and never reconciled. His daughter Yuki struggled with substance abuse, and Kenji became estranged following a bitter inheritance dispute. Sakai's final decades were marked by seclusion, regret over missed opportunities, and caring for Naomi after she suffered a stroke. 5 personal tragedies haunted him: his daughter's overdose, a house fire that destroyed his home, the dissolution of his marriage, his son's estrangement, and his diagnosis with colon cancer. He passed away quietly on May 10, 2007, at age 87. At the time of his death, his estate was modest, estimated at $250,000, with most of his possessions left to a Buddhist monastery in Maui. William Smith, who portrayed James, Kimo, Karu in Hawaii 5-0, joined the series later in its run at the age of 45, bringing a rugged edge and physical prowess that redefined the team's dynamic. Known for his intense presence and muscular build, Smith's character was the streetwise enforcer of the squad, tough but deeply principled. Off-screen, Smith's life was a labyrinth of unfulfilled ambition and personal turmoil. Though he had over 300 film and TV credits, most roles reduced him to brawny stereotypes, leaving his dream of dramatic acclaim unmet. He married actress Michelle Rosenthal in 1969, and they had one son, William Jr., but their union dissolved after years of infidelity and emotional distance. He became estranged from his son following a custody battle that devastated him. Smith suffered 5 major tragedies, a motorcycle crash that nearly paralyzed him, a fire that destroyed his home gym, his sister's suicide, estrangement from his only child, and a throat cancer diagnosis that robbed him of his voice in his final years. He passed away on July 5, 2021, at the age of 88. At the time of his death, his estate was estimated at $1.2 million, largely from vintage memorabilia sales and pension royalties. Sharon Farrell, who played the ambitious and emotionally vulnerable Lori Wilson in Hawaii Five-0, was only 28 years old when she joined the show. Her role as one of the few recurring female characters brought complexity to the series, balancing intelligence, toughness, and warmth in a male-dominated cast. Farrell's post-show career was sporadic, with roles in cult horror films and soap operas, yet never the breakthrough she yearned for. She married television director Ron Ely in 1971, a union riddled with jealousy and emotional volatility. They had one son, Michael, whose later struggles with mental illness would overshadow much of her personal life. Their marriage dissolved bitterly in the 1980s, and Farrell never remarried. Her 5 greatest personal tragedies included a miscarriage in 1973, her son's institutionalization, being evicted from her Hollywood apartment in 1997, losing her sister to cancer, and being diagnosed with early-onset dementia. Her final years were spent in a care facility, largely forgotten by an industry she once helped shape. She died on May 15, 2023, at the age of 82. Her estate, diminished by medical expenses and long-term care, was valued at approximately $180,000. Who is your favorite character from Hawaii Five-0, 1968 to 1980? How does it feel knowing that some of the actors are no longer with us? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy this type of content, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on future uploads. Thank you for your support.